This is exercise number 2, and I use something called a Gertie ball. It's a soft ball, so it's actually very squishy. It's something that you usually will find in a specialty store of a children's toy store, and it usually comes flat. You put a little straw in it and you blow it up, so you can put different amounts of air in it. So what I'm going to do is place this Gertie ball underneath your feet. So the Gertie ball, your feet are resting. The thing I like about the Gertie ball is that it tells you, because you can feel the weight, I can push into your legs, you can push into it, and you can feel that the ball will squish. I can see the ball squishing, you can feel the ball squishing. So it's a good information relay back to your head. A solid ball will work, there's no question about it, but it won't give you nearly the feedback that a squishy ball, such as a Gertie ball, is going to give you. So what you're doing here is, again, you're going to find your neutral position. And we're going to go back to your same exercise, but now your feet are resting on the ball. So you're going to start with drawing your floor up and think of the reins of the horse pulling back and lifting out through the head. Stabilize that position and just lift that foot off and then lower it back down. And then try that with the other leg. So you're going to lift the floor up, the reins of the horse go back, and you're trying to not let the position of the arch of that back flatten or arch as you lift it off. As well, we're looking to see, does the hips move back and forth? So after having a baby, we expect that this is going to be a little bit more challenging and a little bit more difficult. Let's try 2 more. So think pelvic floor, and then you draw the belly button toward the spine and lifting it out. Pelvis is stable, and get the leg to go back. Try 1 more. Good. And then lowering it back down. Now with the next exercise, what you're actually going to do is put 1 foot on the floor, and I'm just going to move Marcus a little bit. There we go. He's heavy. Okay, there we go. So now from this position, what we're going to do is engage your abdominals again. So belly button toward the spine, you're lifting that pelvic floor, stabilize yourself, and now roll the ball out. So notice your leg is going to be heavy on the ball, and then you're looking to see if the arch of your back increases. Don't let it increase, bring the ball back in. And then try that 1 more time. Pelvic floor, abs engaged, take the ball out and bring it in. You might say, this is a breeze, not a problem. So if it is easy for you now, when you take that leg out after our activation, you're going to make this leg really light. So I want you to divert the weight of your leg and pull it into your abdominals. This is where you're going to start to feel the reins of the horse. So you're really trying to keep it much lighter and then bring it in. So much harder? Should feel a little bit harder. Now the second part of that, so that's the modified version. First with a heavy leg, then with a lighter leg. Now I'm actually going to use this leg comes up into a knee float. So bring the leg up into a knee float position. So knee float is when the shin is parallel with the floor. And from here, now you're going to draw that belly button toward the spine, engage through your floor. And now take that ball out. This will be harder. So legs got to go out, and then it's going to bring the ball back in, and then lower the leg back down. I'm going to switch that to your other leg so people can see from this view what that's going to look like. So we'll bring this leg up to a knee float. So again, you've got to find your pelvic floor, stabilize your position so that you don't have a huge arch under your back. And as you exhale, you're going to roll the ball out and then bring it back in. How does that feel? Harder? This is a harder version of this exercise. Could you make this leg, when it gets easier, a little bit lighter as you go out? You might not even be able to go as far with the leg as you keep it lighter, and then bring it back in. How'd that feel? Yeah, it's much, much, much more work. Now with the next foot exercise, we're going to bring this foot back down, and I'm actually going to take this ball away. So with this exercise, what we're going to do is bring both legs up to a knee float. So you start with them here. So this is knee float. I'm going to give you the modified version. This is would be my exercise 4. To start with, I'm going to let your shins drop. So both your shins come down into a drop position. So modified version of this, toe tap. What you're going to do is turn on your abdominal muscles. So pelvic floor engages, you stabilize through your pelvis, and as you exhale, you're going to take 1 foot down, let it tap the floor, and come back up? And did your pelvis arch? Were you able to feel how you did this really well? And then try it with the other leg. Goes down without arching. And then you're going to exhale and take it down. And then exhale down, inhale up. If you find the breathing difficult, it's an exhale down, inhale up, or you could exhale all the way down and up, pause, take a breath in, and exhale, other leg down, bring it up with the exhale, and then breathe again. So it's whether you like a nice long breath. If you're all tangled up in your breath, do what's easiest with the slow exhale through the whole motion. But you're fine with that one. You've been working on this is baby number 2 for you. Now I'm going to increase this exercise number 5. We bring the shin up to a parallel position. So this is much more difficult. You have to work much harder. How does it feel?
It's more
More work already? We haven't gone anywhere with it. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you engage through the floor, pelvic floor up, belly button to spine. Can you move by bringing one leg down to tap the floor? And then bring it back up. And then exhale, take the other leg down. So you're alternating. And then bringing it up. Perfect. So Martina did a perfect job here, but I want you to show there's a definite modification that you might find you're doing and not know you're doing. So the modification, if you think you're doing the exercise right, but you're actually making it easier, is when you go to lower the leg, you actually bend the knee and drop into the fold. So let's show that. So as you exhale, you would go down and see how she's moving more at the knee. She thinks she's moving at the hip. Now do it the correct way. So as you go down, you move at the hip, keeping the angle of the knee the same. So the leverage of the leg is actually staying in a much harder position for you to create that movement. And then bring both legs down. And now we're going to move on to exercise number 6. So for our next exercise, what we're actually going to do is place the ball back under your feet. So your feet are resting on the ball. Now, this is a lateral movement with your abdominals. So what you're going to actually do here is you find your neutral position through your spine, and you're going to draw your pelvic floor up. Belly button goes toward your spine, lengthening it out through your head. And now you're going to open one leg out as if it's opening to the side, but you're going to keep your pelvis nice and level and then bring it back up. Now with this particular move, you want to watch that as one leg comes out to the side, you don't use the opposite leg as a counterbalance so it's not falling out. And then exhale, bring it in. And the other thing is that I want you to think about the back of your pelvis and try to keep the weight even. So as the leg drops out, you shouldn't feel that you're shifting or falling into the hip that's coming out to the side. So you're just taking the leg and being able to drop it out toward the side to whatever extent you can while maintaining the pelvis in position. Now with this particular exercise, you would work up to being able to do 30 seconds. Say I call it time under tension. So you want to work up, maybe you could accomplish 10 seconds to begin with. But my goal is work toward 30, and when you can do 30 seconds, we want to work up to a minute of you being able to just follow that natural motion. And when 1 minute doesn't feel like any work anymore, I could take it up to 2, or you can just leave that exercise and carry on into other progressions with the other exercises. So now I'm going to take this ball back out, and then what we're going to do is place it this time, and I'm going to put it under your right foot. So it goes under your right foot. Okay? And then what you're going to do is bring your other leg up into a knee float position. So you're going to engage through your abdominals. So your pelvic floor lifts, you engage your abdominals, and then you're going to raise this leg up. And then you're going to exhale to roll the gurney ball out long. And now you're going to take this leg down to match it and put it on the ball. And then roll the ball back in. So as you do that, it will feel very difficult as you lower the leg down to not arch your back. Could you feel that? Definitely work, especially after pregnancy. So let's try it. We're going to alternate the legs. So this time you're going to lift the opposite leg up. Okay. You're going to engage through the floor. Perfect. Abs are working. You're going to exhale to roll the leg out long. And then you're going to lower this leg down with an exhale. Put it on the ball. And then roll it in. So as you get down there, you don't want to arch the back. Now, if you're doing this exercise and you decide, wow, that's pretty doable, there's always a way to make it more difficult for you. So to make it more difficult, and you might not be ready for this, but I'll cue it, and people can just get a visual of what that would feel like. So the one leg comes back up in position, You engage through your abdominals, and then you exhale to roll the ball out. Now when you're in that position, you hold for a second and you try to lighten the foot that's on the ball because it's squishy. And then exhale to lower the leg down, keeping the foot on the ball light, and then roll it in. And that should feel tremendously much more harder. So that is definitely a progression, and if you're doing it correctly, you're going to feel like that's very, very hard. So how did they feel for you?
Work.
Yeah, lots of work. So again, I would have you work up to doing 1 minute at first of alternating the legs, not just one leg at a time. You're going to alternate the legs with that particular exercise. And when doing them for 1 minute is easy, 2 minutes max, then you can move along into some of the other exercises. For our next exercise, this is a standing core activation exercise. And what you need to have is a doorway where you're able to have your one leg free, so it's in the doorway and able to swing. So at first, what I want you to do is position yourself so you're against the wall. And even your heels, everything is against the wall. And I want you to actually place your palm of your hand right behind the small of your back. And I want you to notice when you're in that position, how much space do you have through your low back? How much space do you got there, Martina? A lot. Okay. Very normal after pregnancy with that. So leave your hand there for just a second. If you have more, say you have more merchandise in the back here, okay, you can actually pull your feet away a little bit and still find a comfortable position for you. So your hand is behind your back, and then what I want you to do is lift up from the pelvic floor, draw the belly button toward the spine, and think of the reins of the horse coming back, and feeling that pressure into your hand and pulling it up and out your head. You should feel a tremendous amount of work. You're still breathing, but you can feel all these lower abdominals working to hold that position for you. You hold that for 10 seconds. You're breathing. It's helping to correct your posture. It's getting the floor working right from the bottom up. And then release. How did that feel? I find these are very challenging, and they're excellent to do for anyone, really. Let's try it one more time. So, hand behind the low back, belly button to spine, lift the floor, reins of the horse. Feel that working. You're tightening all through here, and you're holding it. You're breathing, counting to 10 in your head if necessary, and then release. Okay. So if you're able to do that, our next progression, so exercise number 9, would be to add a foot lift here. So all you're going to do is, once again, lift the floor up, draw the belly button to the spine, feel that working, and then you're lifting that leg off, feeling, do you let go through that pressure on your hand? Are you able to handle that? Can you find it? If you can get the foot up, and you're lucky to get the foot up, start a little bit of movement so that that movement of the leg is swinging from the hip socket, but you're not moving your pelvis as the leg swings in the hip socket. So it's a core stabilization move. You're activating, and this will avoid a lot of issues that people have, especially after pregnancy when everything's been really loose, that the core may be weak, and that as the leg moves, the pelvis is moving with you, and you tend to get into all kinds of hip trouble, possibly back trouble as well. You don't want that. And then bring it down. How'd that feel?
That's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, but you did it really good. So now exercise number 10 is called the forward ball roll. So hallelujah, we're actually getting you off the floor, and now you're getting to progress to some of the more fun exercises that we get to do. So I know that being on the floor isn't always my first choice of doing core work, but I'm assuming that everybody here today, you're starting at ground zero. You're told you have no core, so I put you on the floor, but my goal is really to always get you back up and using the equipment and your own body to actually use your core properly. So our first and last exercise, number 10, will be the forward ball roll. So I'm going to bring you back over onto the mat.